Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have vowed to take away your Second Amendment rights through gun bans, gun confiscation, and government regulations. Now, Joe Biden is no longer hiding his real intentions, and we need you to take action now.
Whether it's a 9mm pistol or whether it's a rifle is ridiculous. I'm continuing to push to eliminate the sale of those things. But
the Biden administration is coming after your right to own any gun. Joe Biden has already issued executive orders.
Hey, and welcome to another edition of the Daily Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. Joining me today, the smartest man in any room, Rob Morse. He is he's the purveyor of self-defense gun stories and the Slow Facts blog. Rob, thanks for coming on the air today, man.
Hello, Paul. Obviously, I didn't pay you enough for a less than embarrassing intro, but we'll talk about that later.
All right. Seriously, our friend-iversary came up on Facebook and the other, and seriously,
that's right.
Rob is one of the most intelligent people I know, and so I
get out more. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. We've got a lot of stuff to get to today. First thing I want to get to is this story, and this is from Ammo Land, and it's written by
Evan Nappen, right?
Yeah, Evan Nappen. That is really small print when it translates to the screen. But basically, what the state of New Jersey wants to do, they've got legislation now up in their state house. They want to make it so that you have to store your firearm when it's not in use, and apparently on your body is not in use. So they want you to have to store your firearm in a locked safe, basically, and store your ammunition separately. Now, I'm reading directly from the Ammo Land article that Evan Nappen wrote. So in an emergency, you will need to, number 1, get to your safe or lockbox. Number 2, unlock it. Number 3, retrieve your firearm. Number 4, get to your separate lockbox. Number 5, retrieve your ammunition, apparently unlawfully. Number 6, load your magazine or cylinder. Number 7, insert your magazine and rack your slide or close the cylinder. And then that was number 7. Number 8, only then may you use your firearm to defend yourself and your family if you're still alive at that point.
This is classic. This is the magazine capacity restrictions carried to their logical extreme. Note, by the way, there's no exception for gun shops. How are you going to? So we can't display ammunition. It has to be put away and locked. You can't have firearms on display. You know who have exceptions to all this, of course? Will be the families of law enforcement.
Yeah.
I guarantee
and legislators.
Legislators, right. So when are we going to? Here's what I predict. A bunch of people, here's what I would do. I would take pictures of firearms and ammunition openly displayed in my home. Lots of it. Say, come arrest me. I want to be the test case. I would flood social media with it. I would put it everywhere. If I didn't even, you know what? I would also have people who didn't own a gun do that.
Here, let me come over to your house so you can borrow all this for 15 minutes. Yeah.
No, all it takes is a picture. You don't actually, it's a picture on a coffee table. You know? Here, yeah. Come arrest me. Wouldn't it be surprising if that individual didn't even own a firearm? We're arresting you because you don't have a FOID card. Dude, I don't even have a gun. Come on, come look. So this is a bluff. It is political posturing. What's fascinating is I think it will rebound. I think it will bounce up into their face, Paul. I think some of our other stories will tell us just how badly.
Yeah. I want Robert over on YouTube side, and by the way, I'm having problems getting comments from Facebook. YouTube comments are coming through just fine. Let me get some of the YouTube comments in. Robert says, greetings from behind enemy lines in the Democratic People's Republic of New Jersey. He then says, we will not comply, and
Right.
Governor Snaggletooth will be exempted. Well, of course he will.
Of course. Paul, I'm gonna tease this. Okay, you had articles in a certain order. I just messed up your world. We've seen Democrat politicians from coast to coast. The deeper blue, the bigger the problem they're having with open larceny, gangs who will storm their downtown, smash windows, loot large stores at Christmas time.
Yep.
Their downtowns look like my town after a hurricane. And then we've had Democrat mayors go, gosh, why do they look like that? They should just hire security. By the way, if security so much as lays a hand on these criminals, they're going to be liable.
Security gets arrested, yes.
Yes. So there are big issues there. And here's what I think is going to happen. A lot of us are going to go, you guys can't be trusted. There are a lot of George Soros wants to see America look like it's collapsing. He'll sell the dollar short and make another couple billion, if not more. What most of us are going to do is say, you guys couldn't govern a Boy Scout troop on a camp out in your backyard. I can't trust you with my future or my children's future. Now, the media will cover for them, but a lot of us are going to put the pieces together more and more rapidly going, you guys are incompetent.
Yeah, well, one can only hope. I mean, one hopes that enough people are paying attention that, hey, this is all screwed up, and look who's in charge, and, Chicago is just a mess, but you know what? Dallas is the same size. They're not having those same kind of problems. And guess what? The mayor of Dallas isn't doing what the mayor of Chicago is doing.
Right. Yep. And if they did, there would be security guards. But when 3 guys showed up with hammers, they'd either get dropped or a bunch of people would pile on them in a hurry. That won't happen in Chicago. Everybody's afraid of a lawsuit. We should add San Francisco, Oakland, LA,
Yes.
Santa Monica. Now, what's interesting is there are the glitzy areas of Los Angeles, Santa Monica Boulevard. I wonder how Rodeo Drive. I wonder how they have been affected by smash and grabs. I don't know.
Got me. And we do have the Facebook messages fixed. Robert wants to know, why don't you see those smash and grabs in Florida? Well, Florida isn't named the gunshine state for any, there is a reason for that.
To comment on Robert's article, let's dig into it. I'm a jeweler. 4 guys came in with hammers. I yelled, stop. They didn't. 3 guys with hammers I'm just one man. In fact, they're significantly younger and stronger than I was. So there was a disparity of force. That's why I shot them all. And I'm sorry that EMTs weren't able to revive them in time.
Speaking of what you were just talking about, John over on the Facebook side says, just today, we don't have a crisis of crime. That's D.A. Krasner of Philly. Philly, by the way, Philly is West Jersey. I mean...
Right. Jersey. Not to be outdone, Lori Lightfoot said exactly the same thing. Do you think maybe they were reading off the same pre-prepared script? She goes, oh, yeah. Now, aside from murder, crime's down in most categories. By the way, if you ask the U.S. Supreme Court when you're arguing about the right to keep and bear arms, they go, well, it didn't save Chicago. And all the people who know anything about firearms went mentally, have you seen how hard it is to get a permit in Chicago? That wouldn't be my poster boy for free and easy access to firearms.
Yeah. I want to get in one side comment here, not about what we're talking about, but I do want to address it. Why did YouTube take down the Polite Society podcast yesterday? Is what John wants to know. See that thing right behind me? I got that down and I showed that off. I showed it up here. And YouTube took exception to that. Even though it is not against their policy, somebody, got really nervous and...
Paul, you know what that means? I bet we have a Bloomberg nanny boy following us who will cite. Hey, dude, I've never had my own troll. I got a paid troll that heckles us, Paul. I'm going to come celebrate tonight. I've made it. I'm in the big time now.
You've got you've got an unpaid troll too. Here we go. Are you guys going to talk about anything important here, or are you just going to let Rob ramble incoherently from CloverTac?
Unpaid. Why do we need enemies when we have friends? Okay.
Exactly.
Where shall we go now? Shall we go to Mexico?
Yes, let's go to Mexico. Let me get that story up here. Illinois. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Let's do this one, then we'll get to Mexico. Illinois State Police say they've made progress on reducing the FOID renewal backlog. And I don't know if you're going to be able to read it when I scroll down here, but one important thing is right down at the bottom where I'm scrolling some more. The agency didn't immediately respond to requests for comment on how many pending new applications remain in the backlog. So, they're saying we're making progress. They won't tell you what kind of progress they're making, just that we're making progress. We're not going to tell you what our backlog is, but we're making progress.
Or if it's been reduced or if it's been increased. We're not even going to tell you how many $1 million we've taken from the fund that was supposed to pay for this. Yeah. That was a politically contrived press release. Mm-hmm. What should infuriate anyone who reads it is, you guys are lying to us again. And I do appreciate that the article said, and of course it's from Bearing Arms, there's a state mandate that it take less than 30 days to process that. If the judge were actually honest, he would say, gentlemen, once we show that the application has been submitted, in 30 days that application becomes your FOID card. You have 29 days to process it, or those citizens get to exercise all rights. If you arrest them, I will see that you're in jail.
There you go.
But we don't have a judge that's that honest.
No.
Shame on them.
No. Larry says they make it up as they go, and that's absolutely correct.
Sorry,
just,
Larry.
Yeah, they. What are you? The whole thing is, what are they going to do? Sue us? I mean, we've got all this money from the state. They can't do anything to me because I'm the state. So,
right.
Well,
I just said what they have to do, Paul. Right?
Yeah.
They have to say perform or else. And that means it needs a trapdoor function. The police will then say, oh, so you mean we could let a criminal get a gun? I said, criminals don't apply for FOID cards. You're lying to me. Do that again, I'll hold you in contempt.
Rob Morse for judge, everybody. Rob Morse for judge.
Oh, God, I'll fight extradition. By the way, I've been in Mexico recently. Can we do that article?
Yeah, let me make sure I get the right button.
Well, okay, there you go. That's
this is
a bunch
from
of
our buddy Tom Knighton. Yeah,
right. Our let's call him a colleague. There are gang wars going on. When they hit the tourist areas of Mexico, the economy shudders.
Mm-hmm.
COVID wasn't bad enough. I spoke to a number of Mexican business owners when I was down there recently, and they were very clear. In some odd way, COVID had been a blessing to them. They could hide from the mob. I'm closed. Can't make the payoffs. This COVID. Okay. What many of them did is said, I want the smallest storefront possible. If possible, too, I'll go all virtual. I may have a face-to-face business, but I will never give an address where my business is located. I'll meet with a customer. We'll meet in a coffee shop somewhere. Because if they don't have a door to knock on, it's harder to get threatened to pay protection money to the mob.
Right.
Fascinating. And when that hit the tourist areas, the Mexican National Guard just tried to flood, in this case, the beaches with it. That's what their National Guard looks like, guys. It's a little unimpressive.
Let me put that back up there. That looks like some very young people in the back of that. Now, are we sure that's not a picture of? Are we not that's not a picture of the gangs? Because those look really, really, really young to be members of the National Guard.
AP photo. So yeah. You're right. We can't tell them. You know what? Let me dig for a minute. New York Post, National Guard, sun's out, guns out. Nah, that's a video. Can't tell. Oh, okay. No, they do have pictures of the Mexican National Guard. They're in camo, combat boots, helmet. It's not clear what that other picture was.
Let me jump back over here. I'm going to try to pull that up. And...
So no, nobody knows what that is, Paul. That's okay. An AP photo that somebody pasted in.
Okay, yeah. I've got the pictures you're looking at here. Let me put them up on the screen. So where are we going here? Back to.
What's fascinating is this is Mexico, a country with, count them, one official gun store where the thugs get all the guns they need. So when I hear anti-rights advocates say, we just need more gun control, I go, like Mexico? Like Mexico's got one gun store.
Right.
Is there any shortage of firearms for the thugs?
No.
Not really.
There's one gun store. It's in Mexico City. You can buy one gun and one box of ammo a year. And oh, by the way, the handgun can be no greater than a .32 caliber.
Wow. Which explains why rich people live in gated communities, have their own security, and why you see so many people, rich people particularly, flee Mexico.
Let me get a couple comments up here. Freddie says $69 for a Cancun vacation. When they get a version of the Second Amendment down there that applies to me, I'll think about it. Yeah, and Michael says that looks like a photo of vigilante villagers. Yeah, the first one did.
I agree. I was down there. I found the people warm, hospitable. They were glad to see us. He said, I'll be even more glad when the cruise ships return, because they drop 2,000 customers on a town at a time.
There you go. Clovertack had another comment. Rob would be an equal opportunity judge. Just give everybody the death penalty and be done with it. Oops. Maybe I should send that.
Wow. Really? Thanks, Clover. Paul, I want to talk about the implications of all this. Unfortunately, it ought not be this way. There was a time when it wasn't this way, and I'm old enough to remember it. We've seen the Democrat Party adopt the official line that we should be disarmed. We've also seen them adopt a number of government proposals that have increased the violence in our society and crushed the economy. I think most people are left going, do I believe my lying eyes, or do I believe the propaganda from the news media? The dissonance between them is getting louder and louder, and pretty soon they go, that's just propaganda. I can't believe it. I'm being told, that day is night and that violence is peace. It's not playing well. What was it? 8% what was there a comment on? Yes, was it Lori Lightfoot's approval ratings or Biden's? I think the support amongst independents had dropped to 8%.
I think that's Lori Lightfoot.
Okay, that's a hard number to beat. Now, you can steal elections in Chicago. The first place I cast a vote was in Chicago, and when I was a student from out of state. Wow, that'll take a lot of electioneering to overcome that deficit.
So you were a student in Chicago. You didn't become enamored with the Windy City and stay there?
We'll talk about that maybe another time. I found it at that time wonderful compared to California. I could get a number of jobs, pick up the newspaper, make 3 calls, get 2 offers, boom, I stayed. Never went back to California. Well, didn't go back for several decades.
Okay. All right.
Different time, different place.
One more comment about Mexico. Charlie Chambers says, once a year the president of Mexico goes to California to meet the governor, and Newsom goes to Mexico to meet the president so they can visit their constituents. Mexico is great.
Ow.
Yeah.
I've worked with lots of legal immigrants in the defense contractors and heavy industry where I worked. They had their papers or they couldn't participate. Great men and women. I cry for their country. I cry for their families. So do they. I don't know how to solve their political problems for them. If it were easy, they would have done it.
Yeah, exactly. There's every time we have an election and it comes across my radar, especially every November, I encourage everybody, and I do it here on the airwaves too. When you go vote for freedom. The best cure there is for whatever is ailing any country is freedom. Any state, any city, the best cure is freedom. Let's see here.
We have another comment?
I'm looking. Bill has a comment here I want to get up. Why do you keep indulging the false premise that they actually intend anything good from it? This came in a little bit ago. And, I honestly believe, I know some people who are Democratic legislators, meaning members of the Democratic Party in South Dakota. And despite the fact that I vehemently disagree with a lot of what they stand for, they're good people. And they believe in what they espouse. I think they're incredibly wrong, but their heart, they do believe I believe they believe what they're doing, they think will work. I just don't think they thought it through enough.
Paul, I'd like to shade your comment. More and more we see their comments and their proposals not being intended to work, but intended to sound good in the press.
Okay, it's something like we've got to do something. Is that where you're going with
Precisely, right. We've crushed the economy in our town. Crime is up, addiction is up, suicide is up, family formation is crashing. We'll make everybody keep their guns locked up. That will make the streets safe. See, I'm doing something. And you go, do less, step back, get away.
Yeah. Once you get to a certain level, and I don't care what, I honestly, I don't, with very, very rare exceptions, once you get to a certain level, you're more about governing than you are about making, than you're about making things better.
You need to be seen to be governing.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to say certainly, almost without exception, once you get to the governor level, you're there. You're no longer trying to, you're no longer out there to just do the right thing to make things better. You're there to govern.
Paul, I saw something. perhaps far afield, the National Parent-Teacher Association is facing bankruptcy because I think 17 states withdrew. That includes affiliations of any number of local PTA associations, which when their state didn't withdraw from the national, they withdrew from their state organization. That was all precipitated because the national PTA said, yeah, FBI, you should investigate parents who come and complain at PTA meetings. Wow. A little bit of recoil. We pushed back. I think we're going to see more and more of that. My thinking behind that is, and it amplifies the point you just made, we need the antidote to threats to free speech is more free speech. The antidote to irresponsive government is more citizen involvement. Go to your PTA meetings, go to your city council meetings. It's much harder for them to hide. I would like it if local sheriffs got so much citizen comment that they refused to enforce those laws.
I would it if the local legislators got so much comment they refused to vote for those laws. Do you know, I have taken my state representative out for a cup of coffee. I don't think many people have, but I've met with many state legislators in South Dakota. You've got to become involved, is what it is.
When are you going to take them to the range?
Been there with them.
Great.
So yeah,
that just brought something to mind, and I think we're stealing this from the DC project. And I backed into it. I ended up talking to some realtors about their personal safety. It amuses me when you describe your job badly. The realtor's job is to walk into strange buildings with strange people at strange hours. And you go, yeah, that sounds dangerous to me.
Yeah.
Well, it's only slightly better if you're a legislative aide. And I would wonder how many of them have questions. I mean, they have families. Their families work in all kinds of jobs. It would be great to invite to take them to the range. You could, the easiest way to become an expert is to take your legislative aide to the range and then do that before you talk about how they've felt about shooting over a cup of coffee.
Please make sure you very carefully go through the safety rules on the way to the range and then when you get to the range. But
yeah,
yes,
let's not pull an Alec Baldwin.
Yes. I mean, is going to the range fun? Absolutely. Let's make sure it's safe before it's fun, and that way the fun stays fun.
I've found very few newbies, people who are firearms curious, to be cavalier. They might have misconceptions. Hey, you know what? I would love to hear some comments from our viewers on that. What's been your experience? Mine is that if they don't know about guns, they have amplified fears. I've yet to meet the guy who goes, I can do trick shots because I've never touched a Glock before. Watch this. That guy may be out there. Hopefully he's on medications now and it's getting better. That's just my experience. I would love to hear if yours was similar.
Michael says, I don't think any of our Democrat reps will go to a range here in New York City.
Oh. Why is that, Michael?
I'm going to pull out a Yehuda Reamerism. But did you ask?
Yeah, exactly. And if not the rep, how about their staff?
Yeah.
You know, the staff probably are not living in gated communities. Their brothers, their relatives, their cousins certainly aren't. So, you know, if we change their minds, it's actually the staff we talk to on a day-to-day basis. Eventually that might filter up to the way our representatives vote.
Yep, 100%. All right, well, guess what? We're at the bottom of the hour, man.
So soon.
Yeah.
I guess I did ramble for a half hour, right, Clovertown?
All right. Well,
Paul, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, man. There's a reason we've worked together so long on Polite Society podcasts is because I enjoy talking with Rob so much. We always end up in fascinating conversations.
I enjoy it.
Come join us the rest of the week Friday at 5 p.m. Central Time, the only time zone that matters. And we'll have more of the Daily Bullet. And on Saturday, I don't know who yet, but we will have a weekly bullet at noon. Thanks for watching, everybody. Come join us tomorrow at 5 o'clock Central.